Hello and welcome to GRTS News at 2200 hours with me, Aissatou Keita. In our top stories, President Barrow is set to attend the 60th ordinary session of ECOWAS heads of state and government in Abuja, Nigeria. The National Human Rights Commission partners with the UN Human Rights Office to commemorate International Human Rights Day. And in sports, Kenya engages Qatar to provide security services during the 2022 FIFA World Cup. In internationals, more than 50 people are killed and dozens injured in Mexico's trailer crash. Elsewhere, UK tightens COVID-19 restriction after facing a surge in Omicron variant cases. Well, these and much more coming ahead in this edition of the news. To stay with us. Well, it's great to have you with us, and we begin with this bulletin with the National Human Rights Commission, which on Friday partnered with the United Nations Human Rights Office and the University of the Gambia to commemorate International Human Rights Day. It was marked with the final of the Sadauda Kairaba Jawara International Moot Court competition involving 4 finalists. Senabu Jan has the details.
International Human Rights Day is commemorated on December 10th each year to raise global awareness on individual liberties and promotion of collective rights. This year's theme is focused on reducing inequalities and advancing human rights. This moot competition, named after the late President Jawara, a well-known human rights champion, is organized by the National Human Rights Commission to commemorate the day. Jawara's family members were present at the event, which was also graced by a top executive of the Gambia Bar Association. The chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission said the late President Jawara played a pivotal role in building the Gambia's human rights culture.
The moot court competition aligns with the general mandate of the National Human Rights Commission to promote and protect human rights, and especially under Section 12, subsection E of our Act, which says that the National Human Rights Commission is required to promote awareness and respect for human rights through conducting human rights education and studies in the Gambia. The finalists will today argue before an imaginary African court on human and people's rights based in Arusha, Tanzania.
Themed on boosting state responsibility in respect to human rights for migrants, the second edition of the moot court competition comes to a climax with the winner collecting a cash prize and a fully paid 6-month internship at the National Human Rights Commission. A representative of the United Nations Human Rights Commissioner, Yvonne Masarakufa, held the commemoration as a universal theme to expand human rights.
The focus of today's moot, the rights of migrants in Africa, is therefore very apt in the global context as well as in the national context, wherein migration is very much a human rights issue in the Gambia. Migrants can be vulnerable to human rights violations and tend to be disproportionately vulnerable to discrimination, exploitation, and marginalization, often living and working in the shadows, afraid to complain and deny their human rights and fundamental freedoms. International human rights law requires states to protect, to respect, and to fulfill human rights at all times, including for all migrants on their territory.
The project, conceptualized from the University of the Gambia, is providing students with a unique opportunity to familiarize themselves with human rights frameworks and cases, as echoed by the acting dean of the Faculty of Law, Malik H.B. Jallo.
Since today is Human Rights Day, I think one could also reflect, albeit very shortly, on how far we have actually come also as a country, as far as the promotion and protection of human rights is actually concerned. It is not fortuitous that the most important continental human rights body is actually situated here in the Gambia. It is not fortuitous also that the most important or the frontline legal instruments for the protection and promotion of human rights in Africa is called the Banjul Charter.
Human rights and migration are inexplicably linked, according to the head of mission of the International Organization for Migration, Fumiko Nagano.
I see this moot court competition as very encouraging for two reasons. First, as many of us have seen, the discourse on migration around the world has increasingly become toxic, one based on misinformation, xenophobia, and fear. How refreshing to see some of the Gambia's brightest minds come together to engage in a productive debate on migration issues based on facts, evidence, and logical reasoning.
The first winner of the late President Jawara's moot competition shared her experience as an intern at the National Human Rights Commission.
Human rights work is anything but mundane, and however herculean the task, it is always worth the toil.
The competition began, which team applicant and team respondent presented their cases on human rights protection by the African Charter. Team applicant one comprising of Mohamed Cisse and Ebenezer Brown, having team respondent coming second comprising of Omar Diba and Aminata Sarr. Zainab Jan for GRTS News.
Well, now to this press release from the State House, and it reads, the Office of the President hereby informs the public that His Excellency President Adama Barrow will be attending the 60th Ordinary Session of ECOWAS Heads of State and Government in Abuja, Nigeria on 12th December 2021. The President, who will be accompanied by senior government officials, will depart for Abuja from the Banjul International Airport on Saturday, 11th December 2021 at 11 a.m. The release concludes. Now, the members of the Rice Growers Association Basel Cluster recently cultivated their rice fields where they grew a variety of Orelos Plus 6 rice. The project is aimed at improving rice production and productivity in the country and reduce importation of rice, but it also seeks to help in the commercialization of rice production so as to enhance food security. Well, our URR correspondent Seydou Kamara was visited the field actually and files in this report.
The Rice Growers Association Basel Cluster finally harvests their rice field in the Basel MRC camp area. The Farmer Field School and Farmer Business Department partnered to cultivate different rice varieties, including Orleans 6. This initiative is supported by the Rice Value Chain Transformation Project, providing seeds, fertilizers, and capacity training for stakeholders. Project coordinator Antimana Cisse said, the Farmer Field School will enhance good agricultural practice and boost production and productivity.
They all work in this place to produce rice for their life and livelihood. Enhance food security, increase farmers' income, and improve the livelihood of these farmers. Marketing is very important in every production. Because it's a cycle. When you produce, you need to sell. Fortunately for this project, we have engaged commercial private businessmen who are involved in buying the rice we produce. The rice we produce here is Orelos 6 variety. It has a very nice aroma. It tastes very nice. So it can compete in the market positively. Another variety that we are producing and promoting is Nerica L19 Sub 1, which is also a high-yielding variety and is flood resistant.
The project coordinator believes the scheme will help in the commercialization of rice production in the Gambia, reducing rice importation towards food security and improve farmer livelihoods.
We are working with private partners. In fact, he's presently buying paddy rice at $15 per kilogram. So whoever produces rice, the buyers are one. We use the farmer field school facilitators to train these people and organize them on production techniques. This is Farmer Field School 1. Now we have Farmer Field School 2 over there, which is also due for harvest. When we started, it was not easy. You thought the rain will not enhance production. But then because of the short variety, the short duration variety nature of the rice, we started in August. And today we are harvesting Orilus 6. We have almost 15 hectares, over 300 plots, and 200 farmers are benefiting.
Members of the association highlighted some of the challenges they are faced with, such as lack of farm implements and enough water supply adequately irrigate rice fields. Growers here said if they have the necessary equipment, the country will no longer import rice because the 15-hectare production and other areas cultivating rice in the country can supply enough rice for the country and even provide exports. This 15-hectare rice field is a massive investment driven by the Rice Growers Association in Bassem, where new varieties such as Orilus 6 are making big gains. Said Kamara, reporting for Theatre News from Basse, Upper River Region.
Meanwhile, Maduli Village Foundation, based in the U.S., recently donated 14 laptops and 14 personal computers to the Gambia Technical Training Institute at a ceremony held at the school ground in Joshua. The donation aims to improve the information technology infrastructure.
This is one of the series of donations by Maduli Village Foundation, based in the U.S. to his native country, involving providing healthcare materials, among other assistance, to needy communities. These initiatives, according to the founder, support technical and vocational education training in the country. The donated items include 14 laptops and 14 personal computers, will go a long way in contributing towards the development of the institution in the areas of session and management.
Seen here being displayed is a testimony of our commitment to make sure that GTI move the global world and to move with technology and to make sure that we are on top of things, because GTI has to be identified as a center of excellence. And if you have to be identified as a center of excellence, that means that you must have to observe best practices. And today, these computers, I can bet to tell you, Mr. Lee, is going to add tremendous quality improvement a lot. It will add value, and we would see a lot of change. Yes, there is a lot of development going on, but this is just another impetus on the trail.
Jibril Lee, Senior Safety Engineer, JTM Company, outlined the various donations rendered by the charitable organization in the areas of education and health.
Sisters and brothers, Gambia is our Gambia. You are part of Gambia. You are part of what Gambia can be tomorrow. Life is today, but it can be tomorrow. Get it right now. Do it now. Like Bob Marley used to say, opportunity comes once, but not twice. The opportunity is now, is today. If you fail it today, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life, because you won't succeed. I'm here today is not because I'm gifted anything, because I work hard. If you don't work hard, if you don't sacrifice, you don't get what you want. You're going to be dependent.
The Director General, Gambia Technical Training Institute, Edward C. Mansell, hailed the Gambia government for transforming GTTI to a technical university, citing the donation as means of capacitating the staff and the school to access relevant learning materials.
In order for GTTI to advance, you are there to sell our programs. And that's why any occasion that we have, we like you to be present. I can bet for Gambia to move, this institution, it's the right institution to develop the Gambia. And with this transformation process being supported by Kumasi and Demonfort, the sky is the limit. And we have young engineers here who are the solutions to the problems of the Gambia. I'm sure you can do it.
The donation will serve as a booster for Maduli Village Foundation to meet bigger organizations in the United States in facilitating more humanitarian support to the needy. Usman Mane, GRTS.
And now to another release from the Gambia Investment and Export Promotion Agency, and it reads, cognizant of the prevailing opportunities in trade existing in the Republic of the Gambia and Senegal, GAIPA recently embarked on a study tour to 3 key sister institutions in Dakar, Senegal, to learn best practices, foster collaboration, and share information. GAIPA and host institution, Senegalese Agency for Export Promotion, ASEPEX, signed a memorandum of understanding in the promotion and facilitation of trade between the two countries. The delegation consisted of representatives from Office of the President, Ministry of Trade, Regional Integration and Employment, and the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. It is agreed that both parties, subject to the laws, regulations, and procedures in force in the respective countries, take all appropriate measures to facilitate, strengthen, and promote cooperation between the parties, to promote and further strengthen the bilateral relationship between the Gambia and Senegal. It also agrees to exchange information on products and export countries that may be available, business capacity building, sources of financing, and offers common interest in joint export promotion, licensing, and identification of possible areas of business linkage building. The MOU further commits to encourage and provide necessary assistance to the relevant enterprises and organizations of each country to explore the scope for both short and long-term arrangements in investment for export promotion activities. The agreement, signed on the 29th of November 2021 in Dakar, Senegal, by Ousseynou Senghor, Chief Executive Officer, GAIPA, and Dr. Malik Job, General Director of ASEPEX, concluded with the following provisions. A. Staff exchange programs and work placement in the parties of the respective organizations with the aim of information sharing, staff development, and acquisition of trade skills. B. General information sharing to assist the business communities in the two countries in reaching informed investment decisions. C. Share information on all economic and commercial matters regarding Senegal and the Gambia, on specific export sectors, and on those requested by either of the parties. D. Facilitation of individual initiatives, including exhibitions, by ensuring the provision of adequate information and business support, and any other program as agreed in writing by the parties. The Memorandum of Understanding shall be valid for a period of 5 years. The parties undertake to act in good faith with respect to each other's rights under the MOU and to adopt all reasonable measures to ensure the realization of its objectives. The release concludes. Now, regional stakeholders in disaster management began a 5-day contingency planning meeting in the Lower River region. The program aimed at reviewing the regional contingency plan. The forum, which is organized by the National Disaster Management Agency in collaboration with the United Nations Development Program, looks at reviewing the regional contingency plan. Alajimbai has the details.
The Lower River Region Contingency Plan is a management tool developed to enhance humanitarian action. In a bid to review the document, 25 stakeholders, mainly from government institutions, NGOs, civil society organizations, and community leaders, are attending to have their inputs in the document for effective disaster response strategies. Speaking in Mansakonko, the governor of Lower River Region, Rohijon Manjang, acknowledged the importance of reviewing the contingency plan to cater for the current realities in disaster risk reduction amidst the impact of climate change.
When we planned, time will come it will be no more useful, especially looking at the climate change. And of course, I think the NDMA is a very important office when it's come to dealing with climate change, when it's come to dealing with natural and even man-made disasters. They are all around us when it's come to our natural issues, problems, and challenges. So having them to take the lead to make sure that they have a document that is going to be smart enough to respond to our challenges, both the foreseen one and the unforeseen ones. Let's try to do a very good comparative analysis. If you cannot compare things as to what has actually happened to the past, you'll not be able to design for anything that will be meaningful for the future.
The Deputy Executive Director of the National Disaster Management Agency, Serigne Modou Diouf, described the plan as a regional blueprint for disaster preparedness and response. Diouf is hopeful that the document will enhance the required capacity for adequate and effective response during emergencies.
The plan serves as the region's blueprint for preparing for and responding to disasters. The plan, if well articulated, which I suppose that's why we are all here, we expect that the efforts we are going to put together would help the region to respond amicably with the right capacity and to promote overall coordination for the implementation of the plan. In 2014, LRR identified hazards such as bush and domestic fires, floods and windstorm, and disease outbreak. The present contingency plan outlines the history of disasters within the region and the projected likelihood trend.
The tool is also expected to incorporate resource mobilization and communication strategies to enhance regional disaster preparedness and response, particularly on hazards such as bush and domestic fires, as well as floods and disease outbreaks. Alajimbai, GRTS News.
Well, that takes us to a break. The news returns in a moment. Do stay. Welcome back. And in sports, Kenya is in advanced talks with Qatar to provide security services during the 2022 FIFA World Cup. This will be held between November 21st and December 18th next year. The country's Interior Cabinet Secretary, Fred Matiang'i, said on Friday. Matiang'i also said that his ministry has already reached out to Qatar's Prime Minister, who is also the Interior Chief, Sheikh Khalid bin Khalifa, adding that an agreement has been reached in principle. In quote, in principle, we agreed with my Qatari counterpart, Sheikh Khalid, that Kenya could provide security personnel to support the Supreme Committee on Delivery and Legacy of Qatar in providing security services during the 2022 FIFA World Cup. While to other news around the globe, to Mexico, where at least 53 people have been killed and dozens more injured after a trailer crashed in southern Mexico. Local officials said most of them are migrants. Frank Contreras has more from Mexico City.
The details are now just starting to come in on this tragic highway incident that took place in the southern Mexican state of Chiapas. Civil protection authorities in the state of Chiapas, speaking to witnesses, are told that the truck was carrying more than 100 people aboard, a tractor trailer. It was traveling at excessive speed. Witnesses say it hit a sharp curb, and in that moment the driver lost control tragically. The vehicle flipped over and smashed into a pedestrian bridge in the area there, and also into a concrete structure. And of course, that was disastrous. Bodies were strewn all about the highway. Eyewitnesses have reported that bodies are now being shown on social media, covered up in white cloth, lying on the roadway there. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador is lamenting this tragic situation, sending condolences to the families. This tragedy comes just a day after the United States to use again this new system called Remain in Mexico. It's a migrant protection protocol, so-called program under the Trump administration, whereby migrants are now required to remain in Mexico. We're told that at least 58 people have been sent to hospital, some of them in very grave condition. So that means the possibility of the death toll rising here in Mexico in this deadly incident. The details are now just starting to come in on this tragic highway incident that took place in the southern Mexican state of Chiapas.
Where the United Kingdom is tightening COVID restriction as it faces a surge in Omicron variant. Nearly 250 new Omicron cases were identified in the country on Thursday, almost doubling Wednesday's total. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has confirmed that England is moving from what he called Plan B measures. As we hear in this CGTN report, the new restriction has drawn criticism about the timing of these measures.
Calls Plan B COVID restrictions for dealing with the spread of the Omicron variant through the winter months. In England, that means a return to work from home guidance from Monday. It means that face masks will become mandatory in more indoor settings. And it also, for the first time in England, means the introduction of COVID immunity passes, something that is seen as particularly offensive to the libertarian instincts of many members of Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister's Conservative Party. But there is a broader swathe of criticism at the timing and swiftness of these measures coming towards the Prime Minister as well, particularly from the business community. Executives in the hospitality sector saying already that they will require more government support because of the potential loss of business due to these new restrictions. Those are the kinds of schemes that the government had wound down in recent months. Up until a few days ago, the British government's view was that it wanted to wait until a fuller picture emerged about the exact threat posed by Omicron. The fact that it has now apparently U-turned and brought in these restrictions at quite short notice appears to have blindsided even some senior ministers and has led to widespread criticism. There are some even within the Conservative Party who are also questioning the credibility of the messaging coming from the British government now amid headlines about allegations of parties held inside number 10 Downing Street during the last lockdown. Guy Henderson, CGTN, London.
Well, we will leave it at that, but first a look at our main stories once again. His Excellency President Adama Barrow is set to attend the 60th ordinary session of ECOWAS Heads of State and Government in Abuja, Nigeria. The National Human Rights Commission has partnered with the United Nations Human Rights Office to commemorate International Human Rights Day. In sports, Kenya has engaged Qatar to provide security services during the 2022 FIFA World Cup. And in the internationals, more than 50 people have been killed and dozens more injured in Mexico's trailer crash. Elsewhere, UK tightens COVID restrictions after facing a surge in Omicron variant cases. Well, that was all we had time for in today's edition of the GRTS News. From me and the entire news team, we want to thank you for the pleasure of your company. Do join me again tomorrow morning for the AM show. Until then, do enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye for now.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسألونك عن الأنفال